What we're going to do is we're going to look at absolute value inequalities. We've solved absolute values and we've solved compound inequalities. This is an absolute value inequality, compound inequality. We have and statements and or statements, just like what we did for the compound inequalities. Whenever it's an and statement, it's a less than symbol. And whenever it's a greater than statement, it's a greater than symbol. Or I should say, or statement. It's a greater than symbol. Now, the way that I like to figure out if it's an and or an or is I just say it out loud. This is less the and, so I emphasize the and, so less the and. And then for this one, when I say it out loud, great or. So that helps me remember, is it an and or an or? I just read the inequality and emphasize the end of it. Now, when we're writing this, what we have to remember is that an absolute value has two different answers, a positive root and a negative root. I don't know if it's the absolute value of 6 or the absolute value of -6. It could be either one. Now, we also have to remember that whenever we divide by a negative or change the value, what we have to do is switch the inequality. So what we're going to be doing is we are going to be writing two different inequalities. The first one is with the positive, and the second one is with the negative. And then we solve both of those inequalities. If it's an and statement, it goes in the middle. If it's an or statement, it goes on the outsides, just like the compound inequalities. With the greater than sign, it works the same way. One where we're talking about the positive root and one where we're talking about the negative root. So for example 1, what we're going to do is just a quick review. Notice that this isn't an inequality. This is an equal sign. So this is what we did a little while ago. We still have the two equations, one where it's x plus 4 equals 8. The other one is x plus 4 equals -8. We're going to subtract the 4 on both of them. And we get two different answers. We get x is equal to 4, or we have, if that cancels, we get -12. So -12. Those are our two answers. Now, when we're graphing them on a number line, what we're going to do is we're going to put a -12 first, because the least number always goes first. The greater number goes second. And we're just going to put two circles. There's no lines because it's not equal. It's not greater than, it's not less than, it's only equal to. So we only have just two dots, no lines. Now, when we're writing the set notation, it's not an interval. We just put the two numbers, -12 and 4. Those are our two answers. Now, for our next one, we're going to do the same thing. We have the 2x minus 1 is less than 5. This is a less the and statement. So I put an and. 2x minus 1 is greater than -5. Remember, when we change the number, we have to flip the inequality. We're changing its value. When we're solving it, we're going to add the 1. And I kind of like to solve them both at the same time. You don't have to do that. And that gives me 2x is less than 6 and 2x is greater than -4. Then I divide it by 2. And when I divide it by 2, I get x is less than 3 and x is greater than -2. Now, some people like to combine them into a compound inequality where they have x in the middle and x is greater than -2 and less than 3. You're welcome to do that. Or what you can do is just keep it how it is. Either one is a correct answer. The second one, if you do change it, it makes it a little bit easier to graph because we know the -2 and the 3 both open and x is in the middle, so we put the line in the middle. But you don't have to do that because if we look at the actual inequality, x is less than 3, it goes to the left. X is greater than -2, it goes to the right. And then remember, and statements are always the line in the middle. Now, when we're writing the interval notation, notice that it's both open circles. So I'm going to put parentheses. I start at -2, I end at 3. And that's my interval notation. Now for the next one, once again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to write two different inequalities. I have the 3x plus 2 is greater than or equal to 4, or, because it's greater, 3x plus 2 is, and then I change the inequality because I'm changing the value of the number. It's no longer 4, it's negative 4. Once again, I like to do it at the same time. I subtract the 2's, and I get 3x is greater than or equal to 6. I have 3x is less than or equal to negative 6. Then I'm going to, let's see, that should have been a 2. Then I'm going to divide it by 3. And I get x is greater than or equal to 2/3, or x is less than or equal to negative 2. And we see that right there is our answer. I'm going to graph it on the number line. So I'm going to put the number line. I'm going to put the negative 2 first because that's my least value. I'm going to put the 2/3 next. Both of them are closed circles. So I'm going to put 2 closed circles. And then since it's an or statement, I know it's going in the opposite direction. But even if you forgot that, you could look at the inequality. Greater than or equal to 2/3, so that means to the right. Less than or equal to negative 2, that means to the left. If I write it in interval notation, remember there's 2 lines, so I need 2 intervals. My first interval is going to be negative infinity to negative 2. And I put a bracket, or I have a bracket 2/3 all the way to infinity. Pause the video and try those next 3 on your own and see how you do. Okay, looking at these 3. With the first one, I'm going to write my 2 different equations, x plus 6 equals 0, or x plus 6 equals negative 0. Now, a few of you might have noticed, what's the difference between 0 and negative 0? Absolutely nothing. This is one of those situations where an absolute value only has one answer, not 2. So here we have x is equal to negative 6. It only has one answer. So if we were to graph this on a number line, there's only going to be one number that's highlighted, negative 6. And we're just going to put a dot at negative 6. So that means that when we're writing it, we're just going to put negative 6 in the braces. It's not an interval because it's just one number. For the next one, what we're going to do is we're going to write the 2 different inequalities. We have the x plus 7 is greater than or equal to 2. Greater, that's an or statement. And then I have the x plus 7 is less than or equal to negative 2. What I'm going to do is solve it at the same time. So I subtract the 7, and I get x is greater than or equal to negative 5. Subtract the 7, and I get x is less than or equal to negative 9. So that right there would be my answer. This is an or statement. I'm going to put it on a number line. Least number comes first, so negative 9, and then I have negative 5. And with this right here, I have a closed circle at negative 9. Less than means it goes to the left, but I also remember that or statements are always going out. And then this right here, and then it's going to the right. And I shouldn't say always, 95% of the time they're going out. There are a few rare occasions where they go the same direction with compound. Absolute values, they always either go completely in or completely out. But there is a possibility with the compound inequality of going in the same direction. But in all absolute values, it goes in opposites for ors and then in the middle for ands. And when we're writing our interval notation, what we have is negative infinity to negative 9, and we put a bracket. The or symbol, we have negative 5 to infinity. So for letter F, first thing that we're going to do is we're going to write our 2 inequalities. The 5x minus 3 is less than 7. less the and, it's an and statement. And I have 5x minus 3 is, I switch the inequality and I change the sign. So once again, I'm going to add the 3. I do both at the same time. And that gives me 5x is less than 10. 5x is greater than negative 4. I divide it by 5. So x is less than 2. And I divide it by 5. X is greater than negative 4/5. Now remember, I can write it as a compound inequality with x in the middle. It would be greater than negative 4/5. The least number always goes first whenever you write it as 1, and then less than 2. Once again, you can write it like this, or you can keep it like this one right above, whatever you prefer. So we have our number line. Remember, our least value goes first, which is negative 4/5. Our greater value goes second, which is 2. We have 2 open circles. Since it's an and statement, it goes in the middle. And then that means for our interval notation, we only have 1 because there's one line, negative 4/5. Remember, it's a parenthesis because it's an open circle, and 2.